6th National Jamaican Party Day, man. Yeah, we're going to be making some Jamaican patties today. Never did this one before. Excited about it because one, it's not a dessert. And two, I love trying these different ethnic foods that I've never tried because you hit on it and you're like, wow, this is amazing, you know, especially if you eat them out. You know, if you've ever had Jamaican patties, if you go to New York and the city, there's places you can get them and stuff. And it's just fantastic when you find the right one. So we're going to try this one today. Hopefully it's a winner. I've researched a ton of different recipes, took the best ideas from a bunch of them and put them all together into this one. So we'll see how it turns out. Like I said, very excited about this today. First thing we got to do though is make our dough, because you have to make your own dough. You can use the empanada discs, but then it's an empanada, isn't it? This is very similar to an empanada, but the flavors are more of the island of Jamaica, from what I'm gathering, rather than your traditional Spanish empanadas. Okay, so you can use the discs if you want to, but we're going the whole route and we're making our dough from scratch with turmeric and everything, so it's going to be that really yellowish dough. So this is going to be kind of cool. Alrighty, here's what you need for the dough, and we'll be right back because we got to do that first, get it in the fridge and let that harden up. It's like making a pie crust and pie dough, and you got to roll it out later. Okay, so let's do that and we'll be back. Okay, to make our dough today, you'll need 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of turmeric, 2 teaspoons of salt, 8 tablespoons of vegetable shortening, 1 stick of unsalted butter cold, and 1/2 cup plus 2 tablespoons of cold water. Okay, so first thing we want to do is take our 4 cups of flour, our turmeric, and our salt. We just want to mix those together. And then what we're going to do is sift this into our food processor. Okay? As always, I splash everything all over the place, because that's how I work. Okay, just give it a little stir just to kind of mix it in, and we're going to get it right into here. And then once that's all sifted, what we're going to do is take our really cold stick of unsalted butter that we chopped up into little pieces, and we did the same thing with our shortening. Okay? It's all really cold. I even put it in the freezer for a little bit, because just like when we make our pie dough, you want this to make that, you know, that mix that looks kind of like peas, like it gets all crumbly, like a crumbly crust. Okay, so we got that. Have your 2 cups plus 2 tablespoons of water ready, because we're going to drizzle that in here as well. Okay. Boy, I made a mess today. And you're going to slowly drizzle your ice cold water into here. Okay, little at a time, because once you see that you have the dough that you want, you don't want to dump the whole thing because you may not need all of this. Okay. There is our very yellow dough, which is what we want. That's the turmeric that's giving it that wonderful color. Okay, I'm just going to put this back in the bowl, and I'm just going to knead it just to make a nice round ball and make sure any flour that was on the bottom that didn't get incorporated gets incorporated. Okay, so you just kind of press this all together. Should have like a Play-Doh kind of consistency, which is exactly what it does. Almost looks like Play-Doh. Although I gotta tell you, it really has a great smell already, and we haven't even cooked it or done anything. Just from that turmeric, it really just smells great. Yeah, can't wait to try this one today. Okay, so let me wrap this in plastic, get it in the fridge, and then we'll be back to roll this out later and make our discs from scratch. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, for our filling today, you'll need 1 medium onion chopped, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of paprika, 1 teaspoon of Jamaican curry, a teaspoon of dried thyme, teaspoon of black pepper, 3 green onions, 2 tablespoons of chopped parsley, a pound of ground beef, a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs, 2 Scotch bonnet peppers chopped, and a teaspoon of beef bouillon. Alright, so while our dough is hardening, we're going to make our filling now, because our filling is going to have to cool down a little bit. Not get cold, but it's got to cool down. It can't be hot, hot, hot when we stuff and make our patties, okay? So I'm going to heat up a little oil here, just a couple tablespoons of oil. Could be vegetable, could be olive, whatever you like, whatever you got. Okay? Just get that a little hot there. Let me get my spatula all ready. And what you're going to do is put your onions in here. Okay, we're going to cook these down a little bit. And with our onions, we're going to put all of our spices, okay? So take your garlic powder, paprika, dried thyme, our black pepper, our beef bouillon. Okay, oh, that looks like it got a little wet or melted or something. What happened there? Alright, well, let me just scrape it on in. Looks like it got wet, which is why it's stuck, like my garlic over here as I'm looking. Looks like that got a little stuck too. And then finally, your Jamaican curry powder. Now, I thought when researching this recipe, and I kept seeing, you know, a lot of recipes wouldn't specify, they would just say curry. So I'm like, oh, I guess they mean like Indian curry, which I have some, you know, some curry here in the house. And I said, oh, okay, I have that already. But then the more I researched, I found like, oh, no, they want Jamaican curry powder. I didn't know there was such a thing, like a different thing. I just thought curry was curry. Who knew? Anyway, so I was lucky enough to find a nice big container, so I'll be able to make this over and over again if it's really good, of Jamaican curry spice, because it has allspice in it, which is different than Indian curry, from what I read. Okay, so we're just going to saute all of this for a couple minutes and get this nice and wilted, and not wilted, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Soften, hey, yeah, that's it. Soften our onions up a little bit, and we'll be back to add the rest of our ingredients. In the meantime, I realized that I forgot my scallion, so I gotta go out to my garden and snip some. Be right back. Okay, so we're just about ready with that. I switched over to a wooden spoon because you really gotta be able to scrape the bottom, because that's where all this flavor is gonna be. To this now, we're gonna add our chopped meat, our pound of ground beef, okay? And just break that up. Okay, so we're going to just brown this whole mixture and mix this all together. Also at this time, you're going to add your breadcrumbs. I know breadcrumbs, weird, right? I guess that thickens this whole thing up. I don't know. I don't know how this works. Maybe it thickens up the fat that's going to come off the meat, so it makes it more like a gravy. I don't know. We'll see. Never did this one. Okay, now I was just checking to see this is why I just learned my own lesson again. You should always read a recipe all the way through a couple times so you know what you're doing. I just looked to see, well, okay, well, when do I add my Scotch bonnet peppers? Because that's the key to this dish. Now, just so those of you who don't know, these are the little Scotch bonnets that you need. That's what makes this dish authentic. Or that's the key ingredient in these Jamaican patties to give it that kick of heat, is these Scotch bonnets. So I looked to see when I'm supposed to add them to this, and they didn't even say it. Can you believe that? They put it in the ingredients list, and then they didn't even tell me when to add it. So I'm going to add it now. While this meat is cooking, I chopped it up really nice and fine, because I want the flavor of these peppers to really infuse. I don't want to wait till the end, plus they got to cook a little bit. So I'm just going to mix them in now. I seeded them, obviously, because I don't want that much heat, because I'm sure that's where the real heat lies. Okay, but I did 2 of them, so that should give us a nice heat. We got a lot of meat here, so it should be really good. Okay, so our meat is all browned up and mixed together here. Last thing you're going to do, add your green onions and your parsley. Okay, and you're just going to mix that together. You can basically take this off the heat now. And And that's it. There's our mix. So I can't tell you how amazing this smells. So you're going to have to make it for yourself and find out for yourself. Okay? So now all we're going to do is let this cool down a bit, because you can't work with it when it's this hot. So let it come down to about room temperature. Our dough will be ready by then, and we'll be ready to start making some Jamaican patties, man. I love saying that. Be back in a little bit. Okay, so we took our dough out of the fridge, and we're just rolling it out here. And what you're going to do is just cut a bunch of circles. Now, the recipe said to use an 8-inch circle. I don't have anything that big. So the biggest one I have is about 5.5 inches. So that'll be good, because I don't want to make these humongous calzone looking things anyway. So we're just going to roll some out, because you're just going to keep folding, re-rolling, folding, re-rolling. Okay? And we're just going to take our circle. There you go. Okay? It's probably a little too thick, so I might roll this out a little bit thinner, but at least I have my circle shape now. And then we'll roll it out. I can see already I'm going to have to bleach my counters afterwards, because I'm getting some nice turmeric stains on my counter. So you might want to put some parchment down or something. Alrighty? Here's my nice round circle. It's a little bit thinner now than it was. Okay? I'm going to take a scoop. We'll take a scoop of the filling. You see that? Yeah. And we'll put that there. That's a little too much. Don't overfill it, because when you fold it over, you don't want it to break before you have a chance to even pinch it. Okay? So you just fold it over. This is like we did for the empanada show. I think we did an empanada show. Same thing, you're just going to fold it over and then take a fork and just pinch the ends closed. Okay. Let's see if we can get a counter. Okay. And that's what it's going to look like. There's your Jamaican patty. Okay. I'm going to roll out a whole bunch of these. You're going to put them on a cookie sheet with some parchment paper. You're going to bake them 375 for a half hour. And they should come out perfect. Alrighty? Be back for them coming out and the tasting. Alrighty? So our things are out of the oven here. Our meat pies, Jamaican meat pies, they came out really nice. We're going to give one a try, see what we got for flavor here. Wow. That is really good. I mean, I like empanadas anyway, even though this isn't one. But making our dough from scratch with the turmeric gives it this different flavor. Really nice. Let me just give you a little warning that I found out when I was making these and putting it in. I used 2 Scotch bonnets. They're little peppers like this. There's some real good heat on this. So if you're not a big fan of spicy, especially on the finish, like you take the bite and you taste it and you're like, this is pretty good. And then all of a sudden at the end, this heat comes on. So if you're not a big fan of spicy, 1 would probably be perfectly fine. Actually, next time I would probably only just do 1. Not that I'm not enjoying it, it's just that there's a lot more spice on the finish than I thought there was going to be with those 2 little peppers. So obviously those are really hot little peppers. Okay? But really good today. Jamaican patties.